You know, one of the toughest things about dealing with personal hardship is looking, searching for that silver lining, that moment where you say, you know what, someday I'm going to laugh about all this.
Our next guest was able to do that during some pretty trying times. She was a well-known news anchor in the Twin Cities, but behind the scenes, she was learning to raise her baby all on her own. And she's opened up about her experiences in her first book. It's called Pockets of Joy. And we are so thrilled to welcome Roxane Battle to Twin Cities Live. Hi, Roxane. Oh, it's nice to see you. Look, our audience is like, Roxane Battle is here.
Oh, thank you.
At the grocery store, everybody has to still stop you, right?
They do.
Yes.
And I thought when I got off television that I just would go into the normal world, but people still recognize me, and I've been off almost 9 years.
Minnesotans have long memories, Roxane,
yes,
and it shows that you made a lasting impression.
Oh, well,
so
thank
now
you, Elizabeth.
they might start associating you with something new. This book, Pockets of Joy.
Yes.
You say this is a dream come true. Explain that.
It is. The book is called Pockets of Joy, Deciding to be Happy, Choosing to be Free. And when I was a mom of a little baby, I had a dream of writing a book because as a journalist, I'm a writer, and I always dreamt about writing a book. And so I had tucked these manuscripts away in my file cabinet and on my computer for years. Some of the stories in the book, and they're all true stories, I wrote 10 years ago, and I just sat on them. And then last summer, about a year ago, I said, it's time, it's time. So I cleared my calendar off. And in January, I went down to Florida and just went off the grid, and I sat and I collected all of those manuscripts from my computer file and all the hard copy that I had written, and I finished the rough draft in a week.
Man, that's unbelievable.
Did you black out at any point? That is quite the case, Roxane.
Did you eat?
Well, I did, Elizabeth. I would get up, work out, eat bacon and eggs, and then I'd sit down for 4 hours, write, take a break, go get Twisty Treat ice cream, and then come back, write again, and pass out.
Well, you are my kind of writer. I really like that, Roxane. Okay, so the deal is, I mean, of course, people were so familiar with you on television, are still familiar with you, and there is this thing that when we see people on television, we think that they have it all together. We think that everything in their life is perfect. We, of course, saw you have a baby, and then things started to fall apart.
They fell apart.
What happened?
I did a show very similar to this. So we have a kindred spirit here. And about to just right into my TV career in Minneapolis, my marriage ended. And I had a little baby, and the baby was 11 months old. Man. So I had this new reporter job, this new divorce decree, and this new little boy, my little boy Jared. And I had this job on TV where, like you guys, you know, you have to keep it all together, be polished and well-groomed and articulate and focused. And I was trying to keep my life together. And so what the book is about is how I found happiness and joy in the midst of this very personal struggle of mine. I
want to ask you this, because you did some things, and this is accounted for in the book, that you turned down a main anchor job in a different market for your son. You changed your schedule. You didn't want to be a weekend anchor. You wanted your son to still be able to go to church. In the midst of all that, though, you say that work allowed you to be a better parent. How?
Work allowed me to be a better parent because it allowed me to be true to what I wanted to do and to express my creativity. But, Steve, there was also balance with that. I had worked very hard from just a general assignment weekend reporter all the way up to the weekend anchor gig. You know, you wear the red suit, get your name on the placard, whatever, right? I'd worked very hard for that, but faith is a very important part of my life. I was born and raised in going to church on Sunday, and I wanted to instill that in my son, but with the weekend anchor job and the schedule and working late and getting up, it wasn't working. And so I decided to take the morning show instead. That way I'd have that balance. I could be with my son. And one of the phrases, to answer your question, that I write about in the book is I had a little bit of a lot of the things that made me happy. And that's why working made me a better parent.
Look at that. A little bit of a lot of the things.
A little bit of a lot of the things that made me happy.
Okay, so you're going through all of this. Your marriage has ended. You're trying to keep it together. Now, I want to know, in the moments when things are really tough, like the camera light is about to go on and you're feeling like, boy, I am not happy. How do you pull it up to say, I'm going to find some joy here?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And what I would tell myself is I can do anything for 30 minutes. If the show was half an hour, I can say I can do anything for 30 minutes. If the show was an hour, I can do anything for an hour. I can get through this 1 hour. I can get through these 30 minutes.
And that's the way that we don't feel so overwhelmed. Because if you're looking at, I've got to deal with the rest of my life like this, I mean, how can you even put one foot in front of the other?
But then another thing, too, Elizabeth, I have a job. I am on TV. I'm working the career that I love. There are a lot of things to be really grateful for. And so it's like the glass is perpetually half full. if you choose to see it that way. And that's what I talk about in the book.
Those are the pockets of joy, Roxane. Thank you so much.
Stuff.
Such a treat to have you here. We really, really appreciate it.
I am remarried now for several years, so
Look at
things
that.
are going
Good for you.
And son in college?
Yes, he'll be graduating, hopefully. Very soon.
Said like a desperate parent. Please
He needs to get out of my pocket, so I
Yes.
got my pockets
Speaking
of
of pockets of joy,
Yeah.
maybe more joyful with more money in them, huh?
There we go.
Thank you,
Roxane.
Roxane. Really good stuff. You can buy Pockets of Joy on Amazon, and you can find that link on TwinCitiesLive.com, along with more on Roxane's journey.